Introduction. Oh, hi, I didn't see you there. We're here with more Warren Smith. This is covering the Piers Morgan
intro.
Thank you.
Warren, let's go.
AI Trump will derail me till the end of time. Anyway, yeah, this is Warren Smith covering what he said to Piers Morgan on the Piers Morgan Uncensored show regarding the Nick Fuentes Piers Morgan interview. I will say that Piers Morgan did a terrible job, and I think Crowder did a lot better. And I think Crowder also really grilled Piers for this. I think I saw that on Nuxanor. I can't remember. I think I was like half asleep when I saw that. Anyway, let's see what Warren said to Piers, because I'm not Nick Fuentes' #1 fan, but come on, you gotta be fair to people.
Did a really good job too.
Yeah. All right, let's see. In 3, 2, go.
So I went on to Piers Morgan's show to talk to him about his recent interview with Nick Fuentes, which he knows backfired.
Well, joining me on the panel now is Warren Smith, critical thinker and founder of the Secret Scholar Society, Andrew Wilson, host of The Crucible.
And this episode is brought to you by Kalshi, the largest prediction market.
Well, that was fast. A sponsor right off the bat. Kalshi too. Oh boy. We're going. They advertising the gambling, not the gambling. Oh no. Good thing I'm not on Twitch right now. Because if I was, well, no, actually, they've softened their stance on that recently.
In the US, I'm using that to look at the data trends around Nick Fuentes. Yes, Piers knows it backfired.
Piers Morgan tried his best, but his hardball interrogation made me look even better than Tucker's wildly criticized
You just quit before you made it
I think
big.
there's two.
What?
Regarding gambling.
That's terrible advice. Okay, I got derailed there. Let's go back. Okay, is this the video or Piers just picking the lowest resolution possible X post? Also, he scrolls in light mode. Ew. Light mode on X? Who does that? My retinas. Why would you do that? All right, Piers Morgan tried his best.
Yeah, he's definitely a boomer.
Yeah. He's going to need glasses here in a few years. Piers Morgan tried his best, but his hardball interrogation made me look even better than Tucker's widely criticized softball interview. The regime can acquiesce. The regime can acquiesce like Tucker, or it can try to resist like Piers, but the results are inevitably the same. Total Groiper victory. Yeah, honestly, both of them made him look good. I think Crowder's the only one that kind of put him at a neutral stance. I don't think Crowder won in his. I think it was a polite disagreement. Yeah. Like my biggest gripe with Nick Fuentes is always going to be his race essentialism.
Yeah, he pushed back way better though.
He did. But it's the essentialism of the race thing, because I'm not going to
actually attack the arguments.
Yeah, I would push back only on like the essentialist aspect of the race thing, like pattern recognition, all that other stuff we can talk about. I'm saying that intrinsic quality of humanity based on like your skin color is that's a hard sell for me. Let's put it like this. You would have to do some heavy convincing to convince me that all people of X, Y, or Z nationality or race
and culture are linked like people think it is.
I think there's a what do they call it? Like a predictive thing. Like you can kind of, I think they call it like economy of information. So you can kind of guess with it, but it's not a set thing. I think region where you come from is more likely to tell, or how people dress.
It's correlative, but that's due to homogenous societies.
Yeah. Correlation is not causation. But I'm pretty sure that's like an argument most Groypers wouldn't be against hearing, unless they're like really zealous. Like Nick can say no wrong, blah, 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 blah. It's like, Well, I mean, I'm willing to have the talk about it, but I don't think it's like at the foundational level.
I think a black man from the Bronx is more like Nick Fuentes than a Somalian living in Minneapolis.
Fair comparison. But then we take like Jackson and Holly Springs in Mississippi, two very similar makeup cities. Jackson is a hot mess, and then Holly Springs is doing very well. It's really just one of those things where we don't know. It's it's a weak argument to say that race is the determining factor. It's more like, can you make an educated guess from that based off statistics? Maybe. But like I said, that's an argument I would have to have. I can't, like, I could be convinced, but you're going to have to really sell it. Because to me, on the ontological level, so like the what is level, race does not fit there, because you need like three things for something to be considered ontological for me. It has to be universal, exclusive, and consistent. Like the universal, I mean 100% of everything within that group. Otherwise, it's not like a real group. It might be epistemological or just on the heuristics level, but not on the essence level. I know that's going to sound weird to a lot of people, but yeah, it basically, you can't tell me something universal about each race, but I can tell you something universal about humans, is that you were produced from an ancestor of the same species. So humans are members of the Homo sapien species, and you were produced by the combined ova and sperm, which gestates and produces the human pathway, basically. It's something universal all humans go through. It's like men and women are also ontological categories. Everything else is heuristics after that. It's
Oh, look, basic biology.
yeah, I'm trying to explain the philosophy behind it, but I'm really try talking to Andrew Wilson about it. He's much better at explaining things than I am. Anyway, yeah.
Made me look even better than Tucker's wildly criticized softball interview.
I think there's two main reasons. The first, the only way you can lose is if you play to win. He was playing to win. And the second is contend with the logic and not the person. These are the two most important principles, especially in this example.
I think it's important, though, if you want to achieve the ideal outcome, it is important.
Okay. I missed my opportunity last time. Harry Sisson is what happens whenever you have just no testosterone in your system. This man has the hairstyle that comes straight out of the most expensive hair salon and looks the most generic possible. Harry Sisson is what happens when leptism determines your looks.
That face, man. We made a whole video just talking about his face.
I mean, generic white guy doesn't even begin to cover it. He's got like the softest jawline ever. It looks like I could nestle up in there and fall asleep and then slap him in the morning.
He looks like a fish.
Like a fish. Yeah, he does look like a fish. I can't even like address his arguments because he doesn't really say much. I think he was intimidated by Warren Smith and Andrew Wilson. Also, Piers and Harry just lied on air about Nick Fuentes. Sorry, I got hungry. Anyway.
To actually genuinely be trying to gain a better understanding of his reasoning and in his arguments, and not just trying to win or embarrass, because in the long run, I think that will backfire and that will cause him to become bigger.
So was Piers trying to embarrass and win? Well, he says no.
Look, I didn't seek out to win. I don't seek out ever to win an interview.
Andrew Wilson jumps in and provides evidence.
There was a part of the interview where you were very combative and you said you haven't even been laid and you're...
Yeah, that's strong evidence towards Warren's point. Yeah, you coming at using the you got no hose argument against him.
Compliment me for my virginity again. See?
You're doing a very good job being a lonely boy. Pat. All right.
Yes, very good.
Need to get a Palpatine voice that you can use for that. That would be funny. But yeah, no, going after him on that level, it's like voluntary, involuntary doesn't matter. It's like a petty ad hominem. You know, it doesn't change perspective of anything. All it does is change. It's like flipping a switch. It doesn't change your mind. Anyway, it's like I got laid and suddenly I'm less misogynist. Tell that to the gangster rappers, dude. Seriously. Yeah, no, that doesn't align with reality or track with logic. Good grief.
Virgin. This guy's a Roman Catholic.
Right.
Isn't he supposed to be a virgin until he's married? Isn't that part of your guys'
yes,
faith?
To be fair to him.
Andrew Wilson made an interesting point that I had not thought about. which is the reality of doxing his dad. I didn't even realize he had said his full name.
When you said it on the air that way,
So smug. Ah, he doesn't get a mug shot. He gets a smug shot. My goodness. That Harry Sisson's micro expressions drive me absolutely insane. Like, that guy thinks he knows everything better.
Warren is really good at subtle compliments.
Yeah, he's good at subtlety in general. But yeah, sorry, I got distracted by I saw red for a moment. What? Andrew's making a point. Hang on.
Doxing his dad. I didn't even realize he had said his full name.
when you said it on the air that way, this is a person who has had people attempt to assassinate him.
Oh, yeah.
They have come to his house, shown up at his door, and tried to kill him.
Oh, snap. I just looked at him, lol.
Yeah, and Andrew was speaking to that point. Nick Fuentes is not exactly in the safest position in his life. He's very controversial, and people get very, very mad at him for what he says, which I don't get that, honestly. I don't understand why people hate him so much. I mean, he's edgy, sure, but I would rather argue with him than do harm unto him. I would much rather sit down and talk to him about it. Okay, so what are you saying? But these people want horrible things to happen to him for what? His words? He's not inciting anything. He's calling out what he sees as oh nope, we're back. I rubbed my eye and suddenly the model was like, ah. Anyway, they want harm on him because he says things.
He's a top tier, charismatic guy, and he has ideas that are quite provocative, and they really don't like that.
Yeah, and they treat that as a reason to do harm upon him. But then, I guess if we think back to the Learn Before You Sleep video, where they were talking about critical language learning or whatever.
I mean, just look at Trump. Trump is actually quite moderate.
He's basically Clinton. Honestly, he's slightly right, Clinton. That's it. He would be moderate by 90s standards. Anyway, what I don't understand is just the hate and the seething. I mean, they felt the same way towards Charlie Kirk, to be entirely fair. So, yeah, this thing is the generative words thing that they were talking about.
He doesn't care about who he offends. The ones who get offended are
Yeah. They start screeching because they hear one of their trigger words and they get all upset and mad. Get big mad. I need to think for a second. So when we look at Nick Fuentes, right? He just says things. I don't think he's actually called to action on anything. Maybe was he there on J6? I think he got let go, and that's what made people think he was a Fed. I think there's probably stronger evidence to say he didn't break any laws.
I don't remember TBH.
Yeah, maybe he was there, but so were a lot of people. I think Alex Stein was there. So, just being present at J6 is apparently enough to get you condemned by a lot of these people. Yeah, I don't understand the left. I don't understand how they think, but I'm wondering.
You know who wasn't there? AOC.
oh no. But yeah, I don't know. I've tangented it off long enough.
But she has trauma.
Oh, so she says.
Or so she says.
Yeah, I don't trust anything AOC says. I never do. When she took those teary photos at a random chain link fence, and ever since then, I can't take her seriously. I don't think I ever really took her seriously, though. And any socialists I don't take seriously, at least from politics. Shu could probably change that, but the leftist populist angle.
Hey, and her kid take over.
You're gonna have to send me that John Doyle video.
John Doyle is right.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before you mentioned it. Anyway, I think that's what I can't remember where I started. Oh no, I tangented. All right, gotta go back.
To assassinate him.
Oh, right. Nick Fuentes is not safe because people are
and tried to kill him.
You also have to consider the fact that Nick is sitting there saying, "Why are you talking about my father if he doesn't share my argument?"
Because my father doesn't share my same views.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Bring up his dad. That's a non sequitur at best, and kind of an indirect threat at worst. That was dirty, Pierce. Underhanded tactic there. 0 out of 10.
I'm here to talk about my argument.
I think that's why when you bring up his dad, that's why he gets upset, because he's saying, look, man, I'm here. Let's talk. Why are you talking about my dad?
His dad wasn't there to defend himself. It's kind of like if someone brings up Andrew Wilson to try to discredit or attack him in the comments section on a video where he's featured at all. I'm not gonna like actively defend Andrew Wilson. He can do that himself. I'm just gonna call you dumb for for yelling about Andrew Wilson being president in a video. I like Andrew Wilson, but he'll do a way better job defending him than I will. And I don't think he would care enough to find my videos and go through the comments and start roasting people for mudslinging at him. It's probably why people come to my comment section to insult him, because they feel like he'll never find it and they'll be safe from his savage rebuttal. But he also doesn't go hunting like every tiny comment that is about him. People calling Andrew dishonest in my comment section. Oh my goodness. So silly.
There was a moron woman who tried to use Rachel's exes to justify her ideas, and it made Andrew angry.
Okay. Wasn't Rachel like in a really bad place with both of them?
It was an unwarranted attack for no reason. Same tactic that Pierce is using.
Yeah. She was trying to call Andrew a hypocrite, but that wasn't the point of debate. And Rachel's been through it, man. Honestly. So going after her like that was the second that lady made it personal, Andrew hit back hard. And then what bothered me was that people claiming to be Christian were going after Andrew after that.
Hypocrisy is not an argument, and he isn't even a hypocrite.
Mm-hmm. He hasn't made an ought claim about marriage and divorce yet. But if he's arguing to get rid of no-fault divorce, Rachel's divorces would still have stood because they had fault. They were horrifying too. I don't know if you'll have to look them up, but let's just say both the men were at fault. And I think she's been married to Andrew the longest, right?
Yeah, I'd rather not get into.
Mm-hmm. It's just really, really dark. And Andrew is her longest standing husband, I'm pretty sure.
She's doing great now with Andrew, which is good for her.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think Andrew covered part of that in that interview. Definitely go look that up. I think it was against some woman named Charlie. And I mean, you don't have to defend Andrew Wilson in that one, but I kind of want to go after the people who claim to be Christian that were going after him, calling him a hypocrite, because that was it's like context doesn't matter to them. Anyway.
Contend with my logic.
I think it's a mistake to try and claim that Nick Fuentes does not want to be challenged.
What Fuentes and his fans hate most is any accountability. It's all about speaking unchallenged.
What? I thought, isn't Nick Fuentes kind of known for being that guy that says, debate me? What is Piers talking about? Am I crazy?
Yes.
Yeah, no, he's just running around like, debate me.
Nick Fuentes is always challenged.
I think he's the one doing the challenging. He wants people to come at him. You know, he's got his PvP flag on. He's just hoping. He's hoping people come and argue against him. He's really good at the gotcha moments. I know that much. But other than that, I don't. What is Piers talking about? I guess you have to be kind of familiar with Fuentes and the online right as a whole. I'm trying to think here, because Nick Fuentes is a name that's popped up for how long now?
I'd say he's above average in debate, great in rhetoric, mid in logic.
Yeah, I would give him like 4 stars in debate, 5 stars in rhetoric, 3 in logic. I mean, that's better than me. I wouldn't mind debating him, but I prefer a forum discussion style. I don't want to like back and forth constantly.
That's Nick Fuentes stat rolls.
Yeah, but I'm not, because I'm clumsy rhetorically. I'm very clumsy rhetorically, especially live off the cuff. If I have time to like think and write, I can do a lot better. I don't think fast, I think deep. And with Nick in particular, it's kind of hard to debate him, at least if you get interrupted or if you're slower, because people equate talking fast with authority. I do not talk fast. I can't. I'm because if I do, I sound like I'm mumbling. No, I'm slow articulate, not fast articulate.
I think him 4s across the board.
That's a very, very high degree of disagreeableness coming out there. Kind of an overestimation. I'd be happy to say like I'm maybe like a 1 in debate, maybe a 1 in rhetoric, and 3 in logic. I can meet him on his logic. That's about it. I'm not a genius. I'm not even that smart, but you know, I'd be willing to challenge him, at least in terms of sort of his essence categorizations, because I don't subscribe to cluster models. Clusters become arbitrary at a certain point, and you have to figure out where those cutoffs are. Otherwise, you're not really doing ontology. There's no essence there.
I'm smart enough to know that I'm not the smartest guy I know. That's our dad, I'd say.
Yeah, he's pretty smart. Definitely above average. I know there's smarter people out there. There's also a lot of dumb people, though. Like 60% can't read dumb. So, intelligence is relative, but there's still a lot of dumb people out there at the college level. Lord help us. Anyway, moving on.
Into an echo chamber.
And Dr. Phil acknowledges that that is the role that Piers was intending to play.
And you just said, listen, I'm not going to introduce anything new here. I'm going to ask you about what you said and let you explain what you.
I think dad is at the end of the bell curve and we're above average midwits.
Maybe. Is Dr. Phil reinforcing what Piers did here? I mean, Dr. Phil, my goodness.
Said. And there was no ambush here. He could have predicted with great accuracy what you were.
He did predict it. What the ambush was bringing up his dad. Like that was an ambush. My goodness. Like, no, my dad's not here to defend himself, so don't bring him up. Good grief.
We're going to ask.
I don't think he was surprised by anything that occurred in here. That's another reason that you're seeing the backlash, is because it was exactly what people predicted.
I conducted a focus group to try and get a sense of, is this as bad as I think it is? Well, the numbers are reflecting it. The comments are reflecting it.
Last night, I held a focus group to try and get to the bottom of this, and I was with over 30 people. The vast majority, 3 disagreed with the vast majority. And what they were saying things such as, I went into this exchange not expecting to like anything about this guy, but what I saw was Piers not contending with his arguments.
Yep, that's actually the biggest, nope. Hold on. Okay, I rub my face and that does things. All right, I gotta keep my hands away from my face. Lesson learned. The biggest criticism is definitely that Piers did not engage. He didn't engage with the arguments at all. He didn't even try to debunk anything. He just sat there. He sat there and scolded him the whole time. No one likes to watch that. So the scold always looks bad. The trying to moral high ground him, make him, you say, you're a XYZ, bad boy.
Yeah, it wasn't really a debate at all. Just someone scolding through interview questions.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't like it. I was more irritated that Piers refused to engage with the topics of discussion. Crowder did. If you want to watch a good interview with Fuentes with someone that disagrees, then Crowder did a really good job, I would say. I'm trying to think. What else? Who else really?
Crowder's was really good.
Yeah, I think he debated Destiny a while back, but I don't know how that went. And you have to be able to tolerate Destiny, which is that's a tall order. My goodness, if you want to make me tap out fast, lock me in a room and force me to watch a Destiny video. Oh man, I genuinely cannot express how annoying I find Destiny. He does such a bad job with this stuff, and it boils down to right bad.
Destiny is hypocrisy, is my argument. The person, I really don't like his argument.
Well, it's because he doesn't have anything on a grounding layer. He makes immorality, or he accuses his opponents of being immoral, right? Or like evil. But then he doesn't have an ontological definition of what would be good or bad. So it's unmoored and it goes floating off into nothingness. And, you know, it's pretty easy to have something on the is, like what is good. So, like I said, if you want something that's ontologically good, it needs to be universal.
He accuses his opponents of hypocrisy, but rarely gives arguments himself.
Yeah, I think that's why Jack Posobiec blew up on him one day with on Piers Morgan Uncensored. Like, I remember that moment, just watching Jack Posobiec go, "Shut up, Destiny." He was so done with him, and it was after the nerves were still raw after Charlie Kirk. Yeah. Yeah. So when it comes to Destiny being dishonest, there is very little new to discuss here. He's a bad actor. He argues in favor of his lifestyle directly. I know that's going to come across as too colloquial, but his worldview or his lifestyle cannot exist independent of his worldview. So he needs things to stand as they currently are, so he can continue living the way he wants to live. He doesn't want any consequence. He wants to take all the drugs. I don't think I've ever seen him debate sober. Let's put it like that. Man is like Ritalin the person. Good grief.
I think the best interview given was by Trent Horn debating Destiny on abortion.
Oh, that was a dense one though. And Destiny, I don't think I've ever seen Destiny so lost before. If I'm thinking of the right one, because I know one person tried to pin Destiny on ontology, and I don't think I've seen him lock up so bad, because he tries to reject ontology entirely, I think, at first, and then he starts sliding into like categories, but then he doesn't understand the categories, and it's such a weird thing to watch. He's like, well, what is the essence of this, and can you prove it? Well, it's not about really proof. It's more about observable reality and defining. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I don't know. Oh,
It really wild what Destiny admitted in that, like Trent gave a hypothetical on grown toddlers without conscious and whether it would be fine to give them to PDFs. And Destiny said, sure.
Destiny is terrible at the optics game, but he will maintain consistency over optics. But then now his position's untenable because that's monstrous. Ugh. Yeah. No wonder his son turned out the way he did. Sure, Nick Fuentes has probably raised Destiny's son more than Destiny has.
I think that's why when you bring up his dad, that's why he gets upset, because he's saying, look, man, I'm here. Let's talk. Why are you talking about my dad? Contend with my logic. It's the same thing when that was his response when you brought on your British friend who told his horrific story, which it's terrible. And you could disagree with his response to it.
I seethe watching these expressions from Harry Sisson. Like it's so distracting to me. I have a bit of a theory that Harry Sisson's a narcissist, and that's why he has those expressions the way he does, because he wants all attention on him. And he knows how the panels operate, so he wants to have those super expressive expressions so that way he can be the center of attention, and everyone pays attention to Harry. I think I just don't like narcissists at this point. But yeah, as far as like Warren's point is,
I think he's on meds.
I think he might need to be. As far as Warren's point goes here, yeah. I think we already covered that. Sorry, I had to pause because Harry Sisson's face makes me mad. Oh my goodness, TikTok kids.
But I think he's saying, why are we?
I don't even know who this person is. Why is this person talking to me?
You're just telling me what you're saying is bad, but you're not really contending with the argument. And I think that is the core problem that has led to this.
You can keep doing this and saying you're bad, you're childish, you're all these adjectives, but that argument, that logic exists independent of Nick.
But I think it's worth
It's
it
just a
in order
scolding.
to try to expose the sort of person he is and to try to isolate him from the rest of the American right.
Notice right there, expose the sort of person he is.
Okay, so they're saying he is his ideas. That's actually, I think that's a low IQ take. You are your arguments? What?
Well, they've got to put a face on the things they don't like.
But I mean, I guess.
Usually they do it with their own fathers.
That makes a lot of sense. The father is the disciplinarian. People don't like getting disciplined. They don't like being held to standards. If you're held to a standard, you resent the standard. If the standard is, they feel it's unreasonable, even if it is totally reasonable. It could be a failure of communication. Could be a, you're not the boss of me, dad, kind of situation. Maybe it's just that their parents didn't do a good enough job explaining why they're doing what they're doing. Who knows? But I don't get it. Why would you say that you are what you think? Well, I mean, it's part of what you are, but it's not like you can change that.
Social conditioning of the left.
Is it? Because I just don't understand this perspective, right?
Which they happen to be very good at. They identify with ideas.
I guess, yeah. I guess that's why, like, you have things that are intangible.
Like gay.
Yeah. Well, you have intangible things as part of identity. Used to identity was just like what we could see and how we could, figure out who you are for records and stuff like that. It wasn't really about my preferences and stuff like that. And it was more about if we could pick you out of a police lineup, what do we need to know about you? That used to be what identity was, and now it's like all these other different things. It's like, I want to be special. But what makes you special isn't your identity. It's like a lot of things. A lot of things that are completely independent of things that you even like. Could just be a weird quirk you have. What? Yeah.
Well, women care about identity, how they fit in society. Men care about what we can do.
Yeah, for the most part, that's true. Oh, yeah, you know what? You're right. Because if you look at the intersexual competition sort of things, I think the evolutionary psychologist guys, they would talk about how women compete versus how men compete. And this is why I think feminism is just a huge gaslight started by ugly women that hate other women. It's because women will actively try to sabotage each other in the social sphere, where men will just kind of fight. That's the idea. Now, it's not a all situation, more of a, for the most part, situation. So it's all status games for women.
Oh, yeah. Most women pushing for suffrage were single and ugly.
Yeah, they were spinsters, hags, stuff like that. It was never about equal rights or anything like that. That was just the lie they told themselves to make it sound appealing to other women. Yeah, intersexual competition is kind of a weird eye opener when you look into it. But we look at Tumblr, right? People will stack buffs there. I think Leaflet explained it like that because she had experience with that. They would say as a X, Y, Z, alpha, beta, theta. Then they go for their alt, and now you can't criticize them because they're in this identity category. And it's like, well, I'm trying to address your logic, not your identity. Why are you flashing your identity? It's identity shielding. Yeah, so they want to sound more valid because they are this person with this lived experience, and lived experience does not matter in an argument. That is what we call what's the word for it? Anecdotal evidence, which is not supposed to be weighed heavily. It's like a personal experience does not negate the pattern. And then when you bring that up, they say, now you're denying my lived experience. It's like, I don't have to deny your lived experience to say that it doesn't matter for the point of this argument. Like, yes, you are an outlier case. And I don't understand Tumblr logic. I genuinely don't. This identity shielding, it's all about evading accountability. I guess that's what happens when you have a space primarily geared towards a lot of young women.
Yeah, anecdotes are supposed to be explanations as to why certain people think things, but they aren't supposed to be evidence.
Right, they're context for the opinion held, not evidence for a fact statement. And then that whole my truth mindset. You need to understand that reality exists outside of yourself. If you deny that, then we have already failed. Like, society is doomed, and you are complicit in that doom. Anyway, sorry. That was a really, I guess, pent up tangent right there where I was just, I don't like identity shields. Let's stop it.
Sings doom song.
Yep.
That's making it about the person rather than the logic. If you just look for this pattern, you will start to see it.
He thinks, as he says, we're a couple of old boomers who just don't get it, who don't understand how young American men are thinking.
Is he wrong?
Right now, and he's much more aware of how they are thinking about issues.
I use Kalshi to track sentiment. I type in.
Why are we bringing that up? Warren, seamless transition for the ad. Excuse me. Oh man.
Nick Fuentes. Will Nick Fuentes become president? 20% chance currently right now. Now let's check the trend line. There was a spike between October and November of this year. Beyond that segment, it is now at the highest point it has been. Kalshi is the only place where you can legally trade on these kinds of events in all 50 states. You can kind of think of it like buying or selling simple yes or no shares on thousands of topics. It lets you trade on the outcome of real world events. Download the Kalshi app using the link in the description and use promo code Warren when you sign up to get $20.
Well, I would say that they're boomers, but ignoring the insulting aspect of it as a means to say they're out of touch. The logic is true still.
Right, and the insult part of it is less about calling them stupid and more about calling them out of touch. Pierce is very wealthy, right? He's independently wealthy. He's got his whole network and all that. Living in his ivory tower, he doesn't know what's on the ground. He doesn't have his ear on the ground. He doesn't know what it's like to be looking for a job and not being able to find one because someone with an H-1B has taken it before you had an opportunity to even apply. He doesn't understand what it's like having thousands of ghost jobs, trying to figure out like which ones are actually hiring. He doesn't know what it's like trying to get a mortgage if you don't have, millions of dollars on standby. Yeah.
The thing about being out of touch is that it's a skill issue. Skill issues can be remedied.
Yeah, it's kind of like saying you are your thoughts, which I guess that's technically true, but your thoughts can be changed. But, okay. So when was the last time you think Pierce had to actually go through the mortgage process where he didn't have a lot of money? When was the last time he had to do anything where he struggled financially? When's the last time he had to apply for a job? You go to any of these Western countries where we are importing millions of people actually, and you're trying to find a job in these markets, but all the low skill or entry level positions are being held for H-1B visa holders or people who aren't supposed to be here.
I think the help experiences those things for.
Yeah, and then they don't talk to him about it. That's the thing. He hasn't had his ear to the ground in a very long time. When was the last time he had to pay rent in a dinky little apartment? When was the last time he got to see rent prices from the perspective of someone earning maybe 60,000 USD a year? He's got to be way out of touch. That's the only real explanation to this, right? Because otherwise he's doing himself a disservice. He's not beating the allegations. Let's put it like that.
Either way, even if he's out of touch, I still think he could learn.
He could learn, but he has to care about it. And the fact he remains out of touch, even after having that discussion, does he not have kids that go through this? Because that's what showed our dad just how bad the market was right now.
All he has to do is separate the argument from the speaker.
True. You are not your argument. Your argument is a kind of the reasoning behind an opinion you hold. And it can be undermined and changed. That's why you engage with the argument.
When you deposit 100, again, use the link in the description and code Warren to get started today.
Yeah, there was one brilliant bit where he said he thought Hitler was cool. He said, I'm not in favor of genocide, in parentheses. Well, you actually are.
But how is he in favor of genocide?
No one is in favor of genocide. So let's just get that out of the way. We're not in favor of a Holocaust or genocide.
You can't just say, well, you actually are. How? And this brings us to the next most important factor.
The time of day changed. Oh my goodness. Warren must have spent a long time on this one.
Genocide. So let's just get that out of the way.
We're not in favor of a
Holocaust or genocide.
You can't just say, well, you actually are. How? And this brings us to the next most important factor.
If you're asking him in that conversation to expand on that, and then he does present logic, what I'm seeing is people say, no, you're saying that now, but you're lying. You're playing this game. You're pretending to be moderate, and now you're mind reading. You're saying, I know what Nick Fuentes thinks more than Nick Fuentes. And I do think it's really important in these exchanges to come at it with that first principle of, I'm going to take the wild approach that I'm going to wipe the slate blank and assume that the person who knows the most about what Nick Fuentes actually thinks is Nick Fuentes.
And I don't know everything you've said. I'm going off of, I wanted to come into this conversation like a blank slate. And
hang on, Warren Smith did a sit-down talk with Nick Fuentes. Where is this? I need to find that. My goodness. Because I got a feeling Warren actually does a pretty good job, at least talking to him.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I got to find that.
Say, I'm going to make the wildest...
Yeah, and it looks like Nick Fuentes is actually taking Warren seriously. But then again, you can tell when Nick's actually taking his opponent or the person sitting across from him seriously, right? He doesn't constantly laugh or anything like that. He nods and he listens. He did that with Crowder too. So, yeah, no. I mean, it wasn't a glaze fest like Tucker was, but if he's lying on his position or he's inconsistent, it's always fair to ask, hang on, wait a minute, you said this at that point there, was it a joke
Warren
or something?
Teaches people how to learn rather than simply the memorization. So that's a respectable thing.
Yeah, true. I like Warren.
Assumption that this guy knows what he thinks more than anyone, and I'm just going to listen to what he says. So that's what this conversation was.
And that seldom happens. And when it does, I saw a vastly different response to my conversation.
As a teacher, I love Warren.
Yeah, he's actually covering the response difference between Pierce and Warren. And it's because it looked like Nick was actually listening to what Warren was saying.
But I don't think I challenged him any less.
Pierce then brings on the British friend whose clip he played for Nick. Let's look at this as an example of what I was trying to explain.
But I think it's worth it in order to try to expose the sort of person he is and to try to isolate him from the rest of the American right.
Notice right there, expose the sort of person he is. That's making it about the person rather than the logic. If you just apply this pattern, you'll start to see it.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted you to go ahead and confront him in the way that you did, which I think was very effective.
This is not meant...
What? Oh, wait a minute, what? He said, oh, yeah, you did a good job confronting him. Effective?
Effective to who?
For Nick, I guess. I was very effective for making it easy for Nick Fuentes to win. My goodness. You just sit him down and say, you're a naughty, naughty, naughty young man. Naughty man. You need to behave yourself. Naughty, naughty, naughty. That's what he did. Oh, no, come on, dude. Come on. Seriously? No. For the love. I can't with that. No. In what world was that effective? I don't even know boomers would be persuaded by that. Oh, my goodness.
People with an IQ higher than 60 could smell the BS under the floorboard.
Well, I mean, so the only people who would be like happy with Pierce's performance there would be people who already don't like Nick Fuentes, which is weird because that should be me. But I guess I just don't hate him. That's the thing. I disagree with him on a lot. I don't even know if on a lot. On one key aspect that he considers supremely important, I disagree with him. But like, I also think immigration should be highly restricted. I think, American jobs should go to Americans. I think American money should go to Americans. American housing should go to Americans. I just disagree on the race thing. Like, that's it.
No, we don't dislike him. He's chill. I don't think he's a threat or anything.
No, I just think that people hear ethno-state and they get really upset for some reason, but then they don't understand what Japan is. It's a neutral descriptor.
I mean, I live in Japan. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't think Nick claims to be a Christian nationalist. That's more Andrew Wilson's territory. He wants a sort of orthodox political structure, orthodox Christian, which I'd be okay with probably, as long as I'm not like having to go to Vespers every Wednesday after I'm exhausted. Stuff like that. I'm kind of allergic to performative religion.
I'm more aligned with Andrew, I'd say, but I'm more theocratic.
Yeah. Well, let's just put it like this. If you force me to go to mass, I'm going to be very tired. That's it. I'm just going to be exhausted. I don't like being told when to wake up. I like to wake up when I wake up. Unfortunately, babies don't tell you when to wake up. They just wake you up. Dad, I'm hungry. Except in less coherent terms. We're like just crying and yelling. But yeah, no, I don't get mad at babies for waking me up.
I think my theocratic opinions are more related to how the government should run.
I think the government should be like one guy in charge of 50,000 people max. And it's just like keep people safe. That's what it is. Protect people from other people. But, I want an unconstitutional monarchy.
I think all the government officials should be Christian.
I mean, ideally, but reality is it's not that practical, unfortunately. I also don't like politicians. Let's put it like this. If your society is so big that you need bureaucracy, your society is too big. Bureaucracy is black mold.
I think there should be a faith vow.
Let's just bring back the Templars. Knights Templar. Let's just all be Templars. Warrior monks.
I can agree with you on that.
Everyone must Deus Vult too close to the sun. Oh, no, I actually think, like, Charlemagne's empire before the Pope basically decided to play power games. That was really close to how society would be idealized for me.
50,000 people max per society is a good idea.
Yes, Dunbar's number. we're getting off track. Anyway, based off Dunbar's number, you can only have about 150 close relationships, and that's the cognitive limit. Everything else becomes abstraction after that. Look it up. It's a really interesting concept. Anywho,
to be a defense of Nick Fuentes, I'm saying this because I think it's important to be accurate and fair.
Yeah. I feel very similarly to Warren here. Please don't make me defend Nick Fuentes, but I will if you're unfair to him, because you got to be accurate. Got to be accurate. You don't have to like the guy, but my goodness.
Fair.
So Tucker Carlson's position was ridiculous, but it's not yet Nick Fuentes' position. His position is, I don't know why you British are that bothered about the Holocaust, but he's not actually in favour of it, which is the Fuentes.
What? He's saying he was in favour of it? I've never heard Nick say
he'll
that.
Defend his argument. I won't defend him as a person. Same with Trump, and I voted for him.
Fair enough. I'll defend policy. I don't want to defend the individual on this one, because Trump's done some really dumb stuff. I mean, like cheating on his wife, that kind of thing. But I don't like as long as people here illegally are getting deported. I really don't.
Exactly.
I don't really care about the quality of the character at this point because of how annoyed I am with. We don't have the luxury of caring about the character of the person, because the policy is desperately needed. And going back, man, I tried. My brain.
So that bothered about the Holocaust, but he's not actually in favour of it.
Oh, right. So this guy is saying that Nick Fuentes was in favor of the Holocaust, right? I don't think I've ever heard Nick Fuentes say that. Seriously. I've heard him kind of meme on it and joke about it, but I don't think I've heard him seriously call for that. I think any situation where you find him saying that is going to be like hyperbole. But then I don't know. I don't know enough about Nick Fuentes to know whether or not he's actually in favor of that. I do feel like that's a bit of a stretch. If you can't prove that or show an example, then that's probably not a good claim to make. Because that's a heavy claim. That's a really heavy claim, or it's a huge claim. And big claims require big evidence. So if you show me a clip and some tweets or anything like that, and they don't look like jokes, and he looks like he's very, very serious about it, then sure, I will grant it. But don't go lobbing that kind of accusation at people. That's actually dangerous. My goodness.
Which is the Fuentes.
If Nick Fuentes has said that he's in favor of the Holocaust, I haven't seen that. That would be.
Why am I just saying what Warren's about to say? I promise I didn't watch this first. I've been wanting to, but I didn't watch it first.
Significant. Has that occurred? Can anyone point me to that?
Yeah.
It may come also to Britain.
I did not.
Well. We've got to understand it. We've got to listen to it carefully, see what its weak points are.
I agree with that part.
Yeah.
We don't any longer, because of the way the internet works, have the power just to say, well, let's no one listen to Nick Fuentes. Yeah. He's got a platform.
Notice what he just said there.
I'm not Warren
there used to be the power to be able to control who people listen to. He's saying.
Yeah, so they want to go back to the day whenever you can just not platform someone, and that's good enough.
I like the finger thing Warren does.
Holds the attention. Great for your ADHD students. Yay. Flail my hands like hold your attention.
Make zone in on what he's about to say.
Honestly, what I would do is I would have like an iPod Touch.
It's like he's turning a cog or something.
Yeah, what I would do is I would have an iPod Touch on a pendant just right on my chest. And then on that iPod Touch would be Subway Surfers gameplay. That's how I would keep the ADHD students' attention. All kidding aside, yeah, he's making a good point here.
And we no longer have the power.
You wonder what's going to happen to these young men if somebody doesn't force them into some critical thinking.
I'm a little lost on the claim there, Dr. Phil. Force them into critical thinking. Is he saying that Groypers don't do critical thinking? Because if that's the claim, that's a...
Pierce didn't have critical thinking.
Yeah, that's the thing. So Pierce didn't address the arguments at all. He was mostly going after Nick Fuentes as a person. Does Dr. Phil think that, like, all the Groypers are following a cult of personality here? Is that what he's getting at? Because he's an iconocast for sure, but he's not like iconocast. He is kind of built around a cult of personality, but he's not like, he has to hold some consistent positions, otherwise people wouldn't even listen to him. Now, I think Milo claimed that he's a chameleon, which I guess I'm gonna just have to grant that for Milo because I wouldn't know. Milo spent more time around him.
He's a populist, I'd say.
Well, then he's just kind of like a weather vane, and he goes wherever the people go. That's a different argument. So I saw Milo talk about, I think it was on Jake Rattlesnake. Milo was talking about Nick being a chameleon and completely inconsistent.
Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah. And I'm just really confused about that because I'm struggling to find where
Dr. Octagonopus.
What? No. Blah. Anyway, I'm struggling to see what Milo's talking about. I'm assuming he knows something I don't. Maybe it's how Nick Fuentes conducts himself on different podcasts, and that he becomes sort of a social chameleon. But then that's very very similar to how Napoleon operated. So it means you have to kind of take everything he says with a grain of salt. What positions does he actually hold and stuff like that? So you have to pin him on that if you're actually going to debate him. What is your actual position? Because if he's obfuscating that, then you can call him dishonest. But if he's open about what he's saying, then you can address the argument. I'm wondering if Dr. Phil here is just implying no one with critical thinking would follow Nick Fuentes. Because I don't think that's fair, and that's also a really easy way to push people away from your position is to just accuse them of being sheep, effectively. The best thing that you could do if you want to break people free of the cult of personality for Nick Fuentes is to actually debate him. Like, if you really think he's that bad, you need to address his arguments. You can't just call him bad. You know, you know, it's like, this is bad. Why is this bad? Because I said so. That's the level that they're going with right now. And everyone knows that is the weakest form of argument, especially when it comes to convincing people otherwise. I'm an authority in this field, and I say it's bad. Well, if you're an authority in this field, can you lay out why? Yeah.
What is bad? What does it mean to be bad?
Yeah, and it's like, what's your grounding for good and bad? Because bad is a normative claim, right? I'm saying this is ought not do that because it's bad. And then, well, why? What's your grounding for that? And it's like, well, because if you're an atheist, you really don't have a grounding for good or bad. You just kind of have preferences. You know, you'd at least have to subscribe to natural law as a principle.
Because I just don't like it. HR, MR.
Yeah. It's bad because I don't like it. Well, that's a preference. Preferences are negotiated as to what we put into place. That's bad heuristics. Come on, man. The ungrounded heuristics.
Where they say, listen, what's the end result here? Where does this lead me in my life?
I agree with that, but in order to engage with the critical thinking, you need to engage with the arguments themselves.
Yep.
If you are going to meet them where they are, how else are you going to do that if you do not assume that he's telling you what he thinks? Otherwise, it just becomes this game of mind reading.
The problem with Nick Fuentes in particular, though, to me, is he's such a chameleon, and he moves in such a way that I'm not sure holding him accountable matters to his base.
Okay, that's more of an argument I'm willing to hear out, honestly, because there's something to that. He's not the first one that says that. I need to see evidence, though, because I can't just grant that. You know what I mean? Can we get some evidence of this, please? So if you give me some evidence, we can talk about it. But if you're just going to make the claim and then say, well, just trust me, bro. Again, you're forcing me to defend Nick Fuentes again. Don't make me defend Nick Fuentes. Like, my key disagreement with him is like irreconcilable. But man.
And he does just enough to look moderate and normal and reasonable that I think he'll do more damage by sneaking some people from the middle and dragging them to his side because they think he's reasonable, and only later find out that he's a sexist, misogynist, Hitler-loving Nazi, right? Or whatever he is, right?
In order to get anyone to listen to you, they need to perceive that you're willing to be fair. That's the most important component.
I was in the same position where I was genuinely shocked when I made a knee-jerk response video to something he had said. I was overwhelmed by the response. I was like, I had no idea there were this many people out there that agreed with him. And I had people that I knew actually telling me, no, you're oversimplifying this. And I actually went back and looked at the same clip and realized I had oversimplified it. I was looking at it through the narrative
One thing I wish Warren would do here is kind of give me the specifics so that way we can go back and actually look at that. But I get what he's saying.
Going into it without much prior research. And that actually led to me sitting down with him for an hour and a half.
Are you willing to be fair, or are you trying to win, trap?
Warren's great, very humble.
Just make good television. It could be a number of things, but being fair is either present or not.
Yeah, real good points raised by Warren there. I think that is what rubbed a lot of people the wrong way with this Nick Fuentes interview with Piers Morgan. Was Piers just felt like he was being completely unfair. Yeah, great video. Always enjoy a good Warren video.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, for the Groypers, I guess. I don't agree with a lot of what Nick says, but at the same time, I do think he was treated unfairly by Piers. Yeah, but if you made it this far, consider. I'm not saying do this, but consider maybe a like, a comment, and a subscribe.
Join the Secret Scholar Society.
Yep, join the Secret Scholar Society and watch Warren Smith calmly break down things. It's great. Great YouTube. Anyway, hope you have a nice day. Bye-bye.